I'm Morgan Davis, 32, an architect who designed and built my dream villa. After 5 years of saving every penny, tomorrow's my housewarming party, or it was supposed to be when I pulled into my driveway today. I found my sister Amanda directing movers where to place her furniture in my house. "Oh good, you're here," my mother said, clipboard in hand. "Amanda needs to know if you'll be out by Friday. The wedding planner needs the space empty." I stood, frozen keys still in my hand. Before I tell you how my dream turned into a family nightmare, drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from, and hit subscribe to join me for more unbelievable family stories. Architecture has been my passion since I was 7 years old. I still remember sitting at our kitchen table carefully drawing floor plans on graph paper while other kids played outside. My parents bought me my first architecture book for Christmas when I was 10, and I spent hours studying famous buildings, imagining how I'd design my own someday. After high school, I worked 2 jobs to put myself through architecture school. Unlike my younger sister Amanda, I never asked our parents for financial help. They weren't wealthy, but they were comfortable. And somehow, Amanda always managed to get whatever she wanted: new clothes, a car for her 16th birthday, and later her entire college education paid for. Meanwhile, I graduated with student loans that took me years to pay off. Despite the financial burden, I excelled in my career. After graduation, I landed a position at Patterson & Associates, one of the most prestigious architectural firms in Boston. For 8 years, I worked 60-hour weeks climbing the ranks from junior architect to project manager. My designs won awards, bringing recognition to the firm and earning me a reputation as one of the up-and-coming talents in residential architecture. All that time, I lived in a tiny one-bedroom apartment, barely 752, while my friends bought houses, and my sister moved into a luxury condo paid for by our parents as a graduation gift. I saved every extra dollar for my dream. I packed lunches instead of eating out. I drove the same used Honda for 2 years. Vacations were rare, and when I did take them, I stayed with friends instead of booking hotels. My boyfriend Michael, who I met at a client event 3 years ago, was the only person who truly understood my sacrifice. "You're playing the long game," he'd tell me when I'd feel discouraged watching others enjoy luxuries. I denied myself. "And when you're done, you'll have something that's 100% yours." After 5 years of searching, I finally found the perfect piece of land. 3 acres overlooking Silver Lake with mountain views and enough privacy to create my sanctuary. The property wasn't cheap, but I'd saved enough for the down payment and secured a construction loan for the rest for 6 months. I spent every evening and weekend drafting plans for my villa: 3 bedrooms, a home office, an open concept living area with floor-to-ceiling windows to capture the view, and a wraparound deck. I designed custom cabinets for the kitchen, chose every fixture, and specified every material. This wasn't just a house, it was the physical manifestation of my life's work and passion. The construction process was both exhilarating and exhausting. I hired Derek Thompson, a contractor, known for his meticulous attention to detail, but I was on site almost daily making decisions and sometimes even helping with the work. I remember spending an entire Saturday installing mosaic tiles in the master bathroom, shower my fingers raw, but my heart full of pride when unexpected costs arose. As they always do in construction, I took on freelance design projects on weekends to cover them. When the custom windows I'd ordered came in the wrong size, I worked with the manufacturer to resolve the issue without delaying the project. When a sudden storm damaged some of the materials, I was the one who arranged for replacements and adjusted the schedule. My parents visited the construction site exactly twice. Both times, my father William made comments about how I was showing off with such an elaborate house. "It's too much space for one person," he said, looking around the frame structure. "You should have built something more practical." My mother Patricia mostly asked if I was sure I could afford it, despite my repeated assurances that I had planned my finances carefully. Amanda came once with her boyfriend Jason, while Jason asked thoughtful questions about the design. Amanda walked through with a critical eye. "The kitchen island is too big," she said. "And why waste space on a home office? You'll never use it." I brushed off her comments, attributing them to her usual competitiveness. After 14 months of construction inspections and finishing touches, my villa was complete. I stood in the driveway the day Derek handed me the final paperwork, staring at my creation in disbelief. The modern lines, the natural stone facade, the expansive windows reflecting the sunset. It was exactly as I had envisioned it, but somehow even more beautiful in reality. "You did it," Derek said, clapping me on the shoulder. And I've built a lot of custom homes, but I've never had a client as dedicated as you. This place is special because you put your heart into every square inch. I moved in gradually over the next 2 weeks, carefully placing furniture I'd either saved for or built myself. Michael helped me hang artwork and arranged my book collection. This place is a reflection of you, he said one evening as we sat on the deck watching the sunset over the lake. Elegant but practical, beautiful but functional, exactly like its architect. The housewarming party was scheduled for Saturday, a celebration of not just my new home, but the journey it represented. I'd invited colleagues, friends, neighbors, and of course my family. Little did I know that my sister had very different plans for my dream home, plans that were about to collide with mine in the most painful way possible. The week before my housewarming party, I took a few days off work to finalize everything in the villa. I wanted every detail to be perfect. When my guests arrived, I planted colorful flowers along the walkway, hung outdoor string lights on the deck, and arranged my furniture to create comfortable conversation areas. The house already felt like home, but I wanted it to feel welcoming to others too. On Tuesday evening, my phone rang. It was my mother calling to confirm what time they should arrive on Saturday. But before I could answer, she added, "And Amanda wants to know if you can show us the house again before the party. She and Jason are finalizing wedding plans, and she needs to take some more measurements." Measurements, I asked, pausing as I arranged wine glasses and the built-in cabinet I designed. "What for?" "Oh, just to make sure everything will fit." My mother replied vaguely. "They're meeting with the wedding planner tomorrow, and Amanda needs to give her some numbers." This was the first I had heard about Amanda needing measurements of my house for her wedding planning, but I agreed to the visit, thinking perhaps she wanted to get ideas for their future home. Amanda and Jason had been engaged for 3 months with the wedding planned for next spring. They were still looking for a venue as Amanda had rejected several options already for not being special enough. The next day, my parents arrived with Amanda around 4 in the afternoon. The moment they walked in, something felt off. My mother carried a large binder labeled wedding, and Amanda brought her friend Brooke, who she introduced as her wedding planner. "The foyer is smaller than I remembered," Amanda said, immediately looking around critically. "Do you think we'll be able to fit the welcome table here, Brooke?" Before I could question what she meant, my father chimed in, "Show us the backyard again. I want to see where we could set up the tent." Confused, I led them through the house to the back doors that opened onto the spacious yard sloping down toward the lake. As I showed them around, Amanda and Brooke took photos and made notes. Amanda walked the perimeter of the yard, gesturing as if placing imaginary objects. "This would be perfect for the ceremony," she said, pointing to the flat area near the water where I'd planned to build a fire pit, and we could have dinner on the deck, then dancing in the main living area. A sinking feeling settled in my stomach. "Amanda," I said carefully, "are you thinking of having your wedding here?" My sister turned to me with a bright smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Wouldn't it be perfect? Jason's family is huge and we need somewhere special. No hotel ballroom would have this view, but this is my home," I said, struggling to keep my tone neutral. "I just moved in." "It's a family investment," my father interjected, using a phrase I'd never heard him say before. "We should all benefit from it." Something in his tone made me uncomfortable, but before I could respond, Amanda was already moving on, leading Brooke through the French doors into my living room. "This furniture would have to go," she was saying, gesturing to the custom sectional I designed specifically for the space we'd need to fit at least 15 tables in here. I followed them, increasingly confused and concerned, as we moved through the house. Amanda's comments became more possessive in the master bedroom. She turned to Brooke and said, "This would be perfect for the bridal suite. Don't you think we could set up hair and makeup stations along that wall in my home office, where I'd carefully arranged my drafting table near the window to catch the northern light?" Amanda pulled out a measuring tape and began measuring the walls. "I think this could be converted into a really nice nursery." "Eventually," she said casually. "The light is good." "Nursery," I repeated, my voice rising slightly. "Amanda, what exactly are you planning?" My mother quickly stepped in. "Nothing set in stone, dear Amanda. Just exploring options. You have so much space here for just one person." Throughout the tour, my father kept making odd comments about the house being a family asset and how everyone contributed to make it happen. This was patently untrue. I had designed and paid for everything myself, with the exception of a $50,000 loan from my father during construction, when one of my investments hadn't matured in time to cover a payment I'd repaid that loan in full 3 months ago. As they were leaving, Amanda hung back, placing her hand on the custom kitchen island I designed with waterfall edges of Carrara marble. "You know," she said, stroking the cool stone surface, "Jason and I really need to find a place after the wedding. We've been looking, but nothing feels right. Nothing like this." The comment lingered in the air between us, loaded with implication before I could respond. She smiled brightly and added, "I'm so excited to see what you do with the place. Though if it were me, I'd have designed the master bathroom differently. Those tiles you chose are already going out of style." After they left, I called Michael, disturbed by the entire interaction. "Am I overreacting, or was that really weird?" I asked him. "Weird," he confirmed. "It sounds like Amanda has her eye on your house, but it's yours. You designed it, you paid for it, and you have all the documentation to prove it. Don't let her get in your head." I tried to push the incident out of my mind and focus on preparing for my housewarming. But that night, I dreamed that I came home to find all my furniture gone, replaced with wedding decorations. And Amanda standing in my kitchen saying, "Oh, didn't anyone tell you this is my house now?" I woke up uneasy with a nagging feeling that the dream might be more prophetic than I wanted to admit. Friday morning, the day before my housewarming party, I woke up early, excited to finish the final preparations. I had a meeting at work that couldn't be rescheduled, but I planned to leave by noon stop for the catering order and spend the afternoon setting up. Everything was proceeding according to plan, and by 11:30 I was wrapping up my presentation to clients. "Great work as usual, Morgan," my boss said as the clients left. "You've seemed distracted this week, but you really delivered today." "Thanks," I replied, gathering my materials. "I've been focused on getting my new place ready for tomorrow's housewarming, the famous villa. I can't wait to see it. Need any help setting up today?" I declined his offer and headed out, stopping at the bakery to pick up the dessert platter I'd ordered and then at the wine shop for a few extra bottles. The trunk of my car was filled with everything I needed for the perfect housewarming flowers: cocktail napkins, serving platters, and small gifts for my guests. Custom coasters featuring a watercolor of my new home. As I turned onto my street, I noticed several unfamiliar cars parked along the road leading to my house. A large white van with Elite Events painted on the side was backed up to my front door, and people I didn't recognize were carrying things inside. Confused and alarmed, I pulled into my driveway and hurried toward the house. When I entered, I froze in shock. My living room had been completely rearranged. The furniture had been pushed against the walls, and 3 men were measuring the floor space. A woman I recognized as Brooke, Amanda's wedding planner, stood in the center of the room, directing the activity. "The dance floor will go here," she was saying, "and we'll need to move these bookshelves to create space for the DJ setup." "Excuse me," I said loudly, setting down the boxes I was carrying. "What's going on here?" Brooke turned surprised. "Oh, you must be the sister. Amanda said you might stop by." "Don't worry, we're being careful with your things." "My things?" I repeated incredulously. "This is my house. Why are you moving my furniture?" Before Brooke could answer, Amanda emerged from my kitchen, followed by Jason and their friend Cameron, who was apparently a caterer. Morgan, Amanda exclaimed, not looking the least bit guilty. "You're early. We thought you'd be at work until later." "What are you doing in my house?" I demanded, my voice rising. "Why are these people touching my things?" Amanda exchanged a glance with Jason, who looked uncomfortable. "We're just planning the layout for the wedding reception," she said casually. "Don't worry. Everything will be put back afterward." Afterward, I was struggling to process what was happening. "Amanda, I never agreed to host your wedding here, and I have my housewarming party tomorrow." Amanda's expression changed, hardening slightly about that. She said, "We were thinking you might need to postpone. We need to get measurements and make some decisions this weekend. The wedding's only 6 months away." I was about to respond when the front door opened again and my parents walked in. My mother carried a large binder and my father was on his phone. "Good, you're here," my mother said when she saw me. "We need to discuss the timeline. Amanda needs to send out save the dates next week, so we need to finalize everything today." "Finalize what?" I asked, my confusion turning to anger. "I never agreed to any of this." My father ended his call and approached us. "Morgan, don't be difficult. This is an important time for your sister." "I'm being difficult." I gestured around my disrupted living room. "You've all invaded my home without permission and started rearranging my furniture. It's not just your home," my father said dismissively. "It's a family investment." "What are you talking about?" I demanded. "I designed this house. I paid for it. I built it." My mother stepped forward, placing a hand on my arm. Sweetheart, your father contributed significantly to this house, and we always discussed that it would be a family asset. What I pulled away from her touch. Dad loaned me $50,000 during construction, which I paid back in full 3 months ago. And we never discussed anything about this being a family asset. That's not how your father remembers it, my mother said. Softly, he recalls a much larger contribution. I turned to my father, who was now avoiding my gaze. Dad, what are you telling them? He cleared his throat. I covered most of the major expenses, the land, the foundation work, the custom windows. Those were all me. I stared at him in disbelief. It was a complete fabrication. I had documentation for every expense, every payment, every decision. That's absolutely untrue, I said, my voice shaking. I have all the receipts, all the bank statements. I paid for everything myself, except for that one loan which I repaid. Families help each other, Morgan, my mother interrupted. Your sister needs this house more than you do. You're just one person. She's starting a family. What exactly are you saying? I asked, though I was beginning to understand the horrible truth. Amanda stepped forward, placing her arm around Jason, who looked increasingly uncomfortable. Mom and Dad are giving us the house as a wedding present, she announced. We'll move in after the honeymoon. The room seemed to spin around me. You're giving away my house, the house that I built. It makes sense, my father said firmly. Amanda and Jason need a place to start their life together. You can find another apartment in the city closer to your work. I looked from my father to my mother to Amanda, searching for any sign that this was some kind of twisted joke. There was none. This is insane. I finally managed to say, this is my house. I have the deed in my name. You can't just give it away. The deed can be transferred, my father said dismissively. I've already spoken to my lawyer about it. I noticed Jason shifting uncomfortably beside Amanda. He cleared his throat. I think there might be some misunderstanding. He began, but Amanda cut him off. There's no misunderstanding, she said sharply. Dad promised us the house months ago when we got engaged. We've been planning the wedding around it months ago. I repeated the betrayal, cutting even deeper. You've been planning to take my house for months. No one's taking anything. My mother interjected. It's a gift from the family to Amanda and Jason. I looked around my living room at the strangers, measuring and making notes, at Brooke consulting her wedding binder, eye camera and sketching kitchen layouts. Then I looked at my family, my father's stubborn expression and my mother's placating smile, my sister's entitled stance. Everyone needs to leave, I said quietly but firmly. Now don't be ridiculous, Amanda scoffed. We have work to do. Your housewarming can wait. It's not waiting, I said, my voice gaining strength. It's happening tomorrow as planned in my house. Because this is my house, and none of you have any right to be here without my permission. My father stepped toward me, his face reddening. Morgan, you're being selfish and unreasonable. Your sister needs. I don't care what Amanda needs. I shouted, finally losing my composure. This is my house. I designed it. I paid for it. I built it, and I want everyone out right now. The room fell silent. Even the workers stopped what they were doing. You heard her, Jason suddenly said, surprising everyone. Let's go, Amanda. We shouldn't be here. Amanda turned to him, betrayal written across her face. You're taking her side. I'm not taking sides, he said carefully. But if Morgan says this is her house, and she has the documentation to prove it, then we need to respect that. Mom, Dad, tell him, Amanda demanded. Turning to our parents, my mother looked distressed. My father's jaw was set in a stubborn line. This isn't over, Morgan, he said. We'll discuss this as a family later. There's nothing to discuss, I replied. This is my property legally and in every other way. Now please leave. Slowly, reluctantly, they began to gather their things. Brooke awkwardly directed the workers to pack up their equipment. Cameron mumbled an apology as he slipped past me toward the door as Amanda was leaving. She turned back to me, tears of anger in her eyes. You've always been selfish, she hissed. Always putting yourself first. This would have been perfect for us. Perfect for you. I corrected her at my expense as usual. After everyone had gone, I locked the door and collapsed onto my sofa, still in shock from what had just happened. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. We need to talk about this rationally. Your father is very upset. I didn't respond. Instead, I called Michael, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. They tried to take my house. I said when he answered they actually tried to give my house away to Amanda. After Michael arrived, I completely broke down. sitting on the floor of my master bedroom, the room Amanda had casually designated as her bridal suite. I sobbed uncontrollably while he held me. "I don't understand," I kept saying between gasps. "How could they do this? How could they think they have any right to my home?" Michael stroked my hair, his expression a mixture of concern and anger on my behalf. "I don't know, Morgan. It's beyond comprehension." The magnitude of the betrayal was overwhelming. Every sacrifice I'd made, every extra hour, I'd worked every penny I'd saved, all leading to this moment when my own family tried to steal my dream from me. It wasn't just about the house itself, though that was devastating enough. It was about the complete disregard for everything I'd accomplished. 5 years, I whispered, staring at the custom light fixture I designed myself for 5 years of my life saving and planning. 14 months of construction where I was here almost every day. All those nights working on blueprints until 2 in the morning. I remembered the day the foundation was poured, how I'd taken a personal day from work just to be there. I remembered installing cabinet hardware in the kitchen myself because I wanted it to be perfect. I remembered the pride I felt when the final inspection was completed and the certificate of occupancy was issued. And they just waltz in here and decide it's Amanda's wedding gift. My voice cracked. Like my life and work mean nothing. Michael's jaw tightened. "They can't do this, Morgan. Legally, they have no ground to stand on. But why would they even try?" I asked, wiping my eyes. Why would my parents support this? Why would they lie about paying for it? As I spoke, my phone buzzed repeatedly with texts from my mother. "Please call us. We need to discuss this like adults. Your father is very upset about how you spoke to him. Amanda is crying. I hope you're satisfied. Family should come first, Morgan." Each message felt like another twist of the knife. I finally turned off my phone. Unable to bear any more, the doorbell rang and Michael went to check who it was. He returned a moment later. "It's Amanda," he said grimly. "She's alone." Part of me wanted to ignore her, but another part needed answers. I splashed cold water on my face, took a deep breath, and went to the door. Amanda stood on my porch, arms crossed. Her eyes were red, but her expression was defiant rather than apologetic. "Can I come in?" she asked. "Why to measure more rooms?" She sighed dramatically to talk without everyone else around. I hesitated, then stepped aside. We sat at my kitchen island, the one she had stroked. Possessives just days earlier. "Why, Amanda?" I asked simply. "Why would you do this?" She looked around the kitchen, avoiding my gaze. "It's just not fair," she finally said. "You always get everything, the awards, the recognition, the perfect career, and now this amazing house." "Get everything," I repeated incredulously. "I worked for everything I have. Meanwhile, Mom and Dad paid for your college, bought you a condo, funded your lifestyle." "That's different," she interrupted. "They helped me because I needed it." "You never needed anything. I needed support," I said quietly. "Not financial support, but emotional support. Recognition for my accomplishments. Pride in what I've achieved. Instead, Dad calls my career showing off, and Mom asks when I'm going to settle down like you." Amanda shifted uncomfortably. "They're proud of you. They have a funny way of showing it." I took a deep breath, "But that doesn't explain why you thought you could take my house." She looked down at her hands. "Dad said it would be our wedding present. He said he'd contribute significantly to the construction and had an ownership stake." "That's a lie," I said firmly. "He loaned me $50,000, which I repaid. I have the documentation." "Well, he didn't present it that way," she said defensively. "He said the house was partly his investment and he had the right to give it to us. And you believe that you thought it was okay to take the home I designed and built. We would have compensated you," she said, as if that made it better. "Dad said I don't care what Dad said." I slammed my hand on the counter, causing Amanda to jump. "This is my house. The fact that you would even consider taking it shows how little respect you have for me." Amanda's face crumpled, but I couldn't tell if it was genuine remorse or manipulative tears. "You don't understand. Jason's parents are giving us this elaborate wedding, but nothing for after. They expect us to figure it out ourselves. When Dad offered the house, it seemed like the perfect solution. Perfect for who I asked bitterly. Certainly not for me." Michael, who had been silently observing from the doorway, stepped into the kitchen. "Did Jason know about this arrangement?" Amanda hesitated. "Not exactly. He knew Dad was helping us find a place, but she trailed off. He didn't know you were planning to take my house," I finished for her. "That's why he looked so uncomfortable today." She didn't respond, which was answer enough as we sat in uncomfortable silence. I noticed Amanda's phone on the counter. It lit up with a text notification from our mother. Is she being reasonable yet? Remind her about family obligation. Something inside me snapped. I grabbed the phone before Amanda could stop me and began scrolling through her messages. What I found was even worse than I'd imagined. Months of conversations between Amanda and our parents planning how they would claim my house once it was completed. Dad says the loan gives him leverage. One message from Amanda read, "Mom thinks we should wait until after your housewarming to break the news," said another. "We'll need to repaint that green and the guest room is hideous," said a third. As I scrolled, I found photos Amanda had taken during her visits. Photos with annotations about what changes they'd make, what furniture they'd keep, even which closet would be hers and which would be Jason's. "You've been planning this for months," I said, my voice hollow as I handed the phone back. "All those times you criticized my design choices, you were already thinking about how you'd change them." Amanda had the decency to look ashamed. "It wasn't like that," she said weakly. "Then what was it like?" I demanded. "Explain to me how this isn't a complete betrayal." She couldn't answer. "I think you should leave," I said finally, "and tell Mom and Dad not to come tomorrow. They're no longer invited to my housewarming." "Morgan." "No," I cut her off. "I'm done. This isn't a misunderstanding or a miscommunication. This was a deliberate plan to take something that belongs to me, something I worked for years to create. I can't even look at you right now." After she left, I had another breakdown. The evidence of their months-long deception was too much to bear. I curled up on my bedroom floor, struggling to breathe through panic and betrayal. "I can't have the house warming," I told Michael between sobs. "I can't pretend everything's normal. I can't even look at this house the same way anymore." "Yes, you can," he said firmly, kneeling beside me. "This is your house, Morgan, your creation. Don't let them taint it." But their presence was everywhere now. I could see Amanda measuring my office for a nursery. I could hear my father claiming he'd paid for the custom windows. I could feel my mother's dismissive part as she explained why Amanda deserved my home more than I did. They were never proud of me. I whispered a realization that cut deeper than the attempted theft. All these years, all my accomplishments, they never valued any of it. Michael held me tighter. "I'm proud of you," he said. "Your friends are proud of you. Your colleagues respect you. Don't let your family's warped perspective define your worth." I nodded against his shoulder, but the pain remained. The house that had been my dream, my sanctuary, now felt contaminated by their betrayal. Every corner held the echo of Amanda's entitlement, my father's lies, my mother's manipulation. How could I reclaim it as my own? How could I move forward, knowing my own family had conspired against me? And most importantly, how could I protect myself from whatever they might try next? As night fell, I sat on my deck overlooking the lake, wrapped in a blanket, trying to reconnect with the joy I'd felt when I first moved in. But all I could hear were Amanda's words. This would be perfect for us. Not for me, for them. And that summed up my entire relationship with my family. I was always expected to sacrifice for Amanda, to step aside, to give up what was mine for her benefit. But this time, I couldn't. This time I wouldn't. This house was mine, and I would fight for it with everything I had. The next morning, I woke up with a renewed sense of determination. Michael had stayed over sleeping in the guest room to make sure I wasn't alone. He brought me coffee in bed, sitting beside me as I stared at the ceiling. "What's the plan?" he asked gently. "First, I need to get my documentation in order," I replied, sitting up. "Then I need emotional backup." I called my best friend Rachel, who arrived within an hour, furious on my behalf. They did what she exclaimed after I explained the situation. "Oh hell no, not happening with Rachel and Michael's support." I began methodically gathering evidence. I pulled out all my financial records related to the house bank statements, showing my deposits to the construction company, the original land purchase agreement with only my signature, the construction contract listing me as the sole client. I found the loan agreement with my father dated 18 months earlier for exactly $50,000. Attached was documentation of the wire transfer, repaying the full amount 3 months ago, along with a text from my father acknowledging receipt. "Got the money. You didn't need to pay interest, but thanks." Next, I called Derek Thompson, my construction manager. "Morgan, how's the house treating you?" he asked cheerfully. "The house is perfect, Derek, but I have a situation." I explained briefly what had happened. Derek was silent for a moment, then said, "That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Your father wasn't involved in the construction at all, except for that one payment that you later reimbursed. You made every decision, paid every invoice. I have all the documentation to prove it. Would you be willing to put that in writing for me?" I asked. "Absolutely. I'll email you a complete statement today. And Morgan, don't let them do this to you. That house is yours in every possible way. I thanked him and hung up, feeling slightly more secure. Next, I called my attorney, Lillian Chen. This is straightforward. She assured me after hearing the story. The house is titled solely in your name. Your father has no legal claim to it whatsoever, especially since you repaid his loan. They cannot give away property that isn't theirs. What about their claim that it was always meant to be a family asset? Unless they have documentation showing some kind of ownership agreement, their claim is baseless. Verbal agreements about real estate aren't enforceable. And even if they were, you have evidence contradicting their version of events. With Lillian's assurance that my legal position was solid, I felt ready to address the emotional aspect of the confrontation. Rachel suggested we proceed with the housewarming as planned. Don't let them rob you of the celebration, she insisted. This is your moment, your achievement. Your real friends will be there to support you. I agreed, and we spent the next few hours preparing for the party. As we worked, Rachel helped me rehearse what I would say when I inevitably had to confront my family again. Stay calm, she advised. Don't let them provoke you into an emotional response. Stick to the facts, and remember you hold all the cards here. Around noon, as we were arranging flowers in the dining room, I heard a noise from the front of the house looking out the window. I saw my mother trying to unlock the front door with a key I didn't know she had. They're here, I said to Rachel, my heart racing despite my preparation. You've got this, she replied, squeezing my hand. Michael and I are right behind you. I walked to the front door and opened it before my mother could figure out why her key wasn't working. She looked startled to see me. I changed the locks this morning, I said coolly. Can I help you with something? My mother composed herself quickly. We need to talk, Morgan. Your father and I have been up all night worried about the situation behind her. I could see my father sitting in their car talking on his phone. There was no sign of Amanda. There's nothing to talk about, I said. This is my house. I'm having my housewarming party today as planned. You and Dad and Amanda are no longer invited. That's what we need to discuss, she pressed. Your father is very hurt by your attitude, after everything he's done for you. What exactly has he done, Mom? I interrupted, because I have all the documentation showing exactly who paid for what. And it wasn't Dad. She hesitated, then tried a different approach. Families should support each other, Morgan. Amanda and Jason need a place to start their life together. Then they can buy one just like I did, I replied. Or Dad can buy them one if he's so concerned. But this house is mine. My mother's expression hardened. Your father wants to speak with you. He's on the phone with his lawyer right now. Good. My lawyer is very clear that I have sole ownership of this property. Dad has no legal claim whatsoever. As we were talking, I noticed my mother's gaze shifting past me to the interior of the house. She was still taking inventory, still imagining it as Amanda's mom. I said firmly, drawing her attention back to me. This house is not available. Not for Amanda's wedding, not as her home, not as a family asset. It's mine. The sooner you all accept that, the better. My mother's expression was a mixture of disappointment and calculation. We're having a family dinner tonight at our house. Your father insists you be there so we can resolve this. I almost laughed at the absurdity. I'm having my housewarming party tonight, as you know, and there's nothing to resolve. The house is mine legally and morally, Morgan. I have to finish preparing for my guests, I said, starting to close the door. If Dad wants to talk, he can call me tomorrow. But be clear, this discussion is about repairing our relationship, not about ownership of my house. That matter is closed. After my mother left, I leaned against the closed door, shaking slightly despite my confident words. That went well, Rachel said, appearing from the living room where she had been listening. It's not over, I replied. That was just the opening skirmish. Throughout the afternoon, I received a barrage of texts from both parents and, surprisingly, from Jason. My parents' messages were a mixture of guilt trips and vague legal threats. Jason's was different. Morgan, I had no idea about any of this until yesterday. I thought we were just considering your place as a wedding venue, not trying to claim it. I'm horrified by the whole situation and have told Amanda we need to find our own place. I'm truly sorry. His message gave me a small sense of relief. At least someone in the situation recognized how inappropriate their actions had been. As evening approached, Rachel and Michael helped me finish preparations for the party. My neighbors, Barbara and Tom, stopped by early to help set up the bar. We overheard some of what happened yesterday. Barbara admitted the workers were very loud. Just so you know, we're prepared to be witnesses if you need us. We watched you build this place from the ground up. We know exactly whose house this is. Their support meant more than they could know. By 7 p.m., my home was ready for its proper introduction to the world. Not as Amanda's wedding venue or future home, but as my creation, my sanctuary, my achievement. As the first guest began to arrive, my phone rang with my father's number. I sent it to voicemail. Tonight was about celebration, not confrontation. The real battle would come tomorrow, and I would be ready. Sunday morning arrived with the heavy stillness that follows a successful party. The housewarming had been perfect. Friends and colleagues filling my home with laughter and genuine admiration for what I'd created. Several had commented on my family's absence, but I'd offered only vague explanations about a prior commitment. I wasn't ready to share the painful truth with everyone. I was cleaning up the last few glasses when my doorbell rang through the window. I saw my parents' car and Amanda's SUV in my driveway. Taking a deep breath, I texted Michael and Rachel. "They're here, all of them," Rachel responded immediately. "Want us to come over?" "Not yet," I replied. "I need to handle this myself first." I opened the door to find my father, mother Amanda, and Jason standing on my porch. My father looked stern, my mother anxious, Amanda defiant, and Jason uncomfortable. "We need to talk," my father said without greeting. As a family, I considered refusing them entry, but decided it was better to have this confrontation on my territory. "Come in," I said, leading them to the living room. "Let's get this over with." Once they were seated, I remained standing, arms crossed. "Before you start, I want to be clear. This house is mine. I have all the documentation proving I paid for it. I have statements from the construction manager confirming I made all the decisions. The deed is in my name only. So if you've come to continue this absurd claim that it's somehow a family asset, you're wasting your time." My father leaned forward. "Morgan, I contributed significantly to this house. $50,000, I interrupted, which I repaid in full 3 months ago. I have the bank records and your text acknowledging receipt. That was just part of it," he insisted. "There were other contributions. Name them," I challenged. "Show me a single receipt, a single transfer, a single check that you wrote for this house beyond that loan." He shifted uncomfortably. "We had an understanding." "No, we didn't." I pulled out a folder from the side table and opened it. "Here's the original land purchase agreement with only my signature. Here's the construction contract with only my name. Here are bank statements showing my payments for every phase of construction. Here's the deed with only my name on it." I placed each document on the coffee table as I spoke. "And here," I continued, "is a statement from Derek Thompson, the construction manager, confirming that I was the sole client, made all decisions, and paid for everything except for one payment that was covered by a loan from you, which was later repaid." My mother tried to intervene. "Morgan, it's not about the paperwork. It's about family helping family. Amanda and Jason need to stop," I said firmly. "This isn't about what Amanda needs. This is about respect. Respect for me, for my work, for my achievement. If Amanda and Jason need a house, there are plenty available for purchase. This one is taken." Amanda finally spoke up. "You've always been selfish, Morgan, always putting yourself first." I laughed incredulously. "Selfish? I'm selfish for not wanting to give away my house. The house I spent 5 years saving for, the house I designed myself and oversaw every aspect of construction. That makes me selfish." "You don't need all this space," she argued. "It's just you. We're starting a family that doesn't entitle you to my property." I was struggling to maintain my composure, and even if I lived in a 10-bedroom mansion by myself, it would still be mine to deal with as I please. My father stood up, his face reddening. "That's enough. I'm tired of this attitude. I've helped you throughout your life." "How?" I challenged. "How exactly have you helped me? You didn't pay for my education. You didn't help me with my career. You've criticized my choices, dismissed my achievements, and now you're trying to take away the one thing I've built for myself." "We gave you life," my mother interjected. "We raised you, That was your obligation as parents," I cut in. "It doesn't give you ownership of everything I create as an adult." I turned to Amanda and you. "I found the text on your phone. You've been planning this for months, taking photos of my house, discussing how you'd change it, treating it as if it was already yours. Do you have any idea how hurtful that is?" Amanda had the grace to look slightly ashamed but quickly recovered. "Dad said it would be fine. He said you'd understand once we explained what I demanded, that my house was being stolen from me, that my own family conspired behind my back." Jason, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. I want to be clear that I had no knowledge of this plan. He looked directly at my father. Sir, I appreciate your desire to help us, but I cannot and will not accept a house that clearly belongs to Morgan. It's wrong on every level. Amanda turned to him, betrayal in her eyes. Jason, we discussed this. No, you discussed it with your parents, he corrected her. You told me your father was helping us find a place, not that he was giving us your sister's house. Against her will. A heavy silence fell over the room. My father looked between Jason and Amanda, clearly not expecting this division. Well, my father finally said, if that's how you feel, Jason, perhaps we need to reconsider the wedding plans altogether. William. My mother gasped. Jason stood up. With all due respect, sir, if your support for our marriage is contingent on me accepting stolen property, then yes, perhaps we do need to reconsider. Amanda burst into tears. This is all your fault, she shouted at me. You're ruining everything. I didn't do anything except build a house, I replied calmly. You're the one who tried to take it. My father was now pacing the room, his face flushed with anger. This house should be part of the family legacy. It's too much for one person. It's selfish for you to keep it all for yourself. It's not a family legacy, I said firmly. It's my home. The home I designed, the home I paid for, the home I built. Blood is thicker than water, Morgan. My mother tried. Family should come first. That thing is actually. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, I corrected her. It means the relationships we choose are stronger than the ones we're born into. And right now, the people who respect me and my achievements are not the ones I'm related to. I walked to the front door and opened it. I think we're done here. I've shown you the documentation. I've made my position clear. This house is mine legally and morally. If you can't accept that, then we have nothing more to discuss. My father looked at me with cold anger. You'll regret this, Morgan. Turning your back on family is something you'll live to regret. I'm not turning my back on family, I replied. I'm setting boundaries. There's a difference. As they moved toward the door, Amanda lingered behind for a moment. I thought she might apologize. Instead, she said quietly, I've always been jealous of you. You know, the smart one, the successful one, the one who never needed help. I thought for once I could have something. You had something special. Her words stunned me. Amanda, you could build your own special things. You don't need to take mine. She wiped away a tear. It's not the same. It never will be. As she walked out, Jason paused beside me. I'm truly sorry about all this, Morgan. I had no idea. I believe you, I said. And I'm sorry too. This can't be easy for you either. After they left, I closed the door and leaned against it. Exhausted, but somehow lighter. The confrontation had been painful, but necessary. I had stood my ground, presented my evidence, and defended my boundaries for perhaps the first time in my life. I had refused to sacrifice my needs for Amanda's once. Michael arrived 20 minutes later, having stayed away at my request, but remained on standby. He hugged me tightly. How did it go? About as well as could be expected. I replied, leading him to the kitchen where I poured us both coffee. Dad's furious. Mom's disappointed. Amanda's playing the victim, and Jason's caught in the middle. And you? He asked, studying my face. I thought for a moment. I'm sad, I admitted. Sad that it came to this. Sad that my own family would try to take something that means so much to me. But I'm also relieved. Like I've finally broken free of a pattern I didn't even fully recognize until now. The pattern of always giving in to Amanda. I nodded. Always putting her needs first. Always being expected to be the responsible one while she gets whatever she wants. I think I've been playing that role my entire life without questioning it. Michael took my hand across the counter. Well, you stood your ground this time. I'm proud of you. The sad thing is, I said quietly, if Amanda had just asked to have her wedding here, I probably would have said yes. But they didn't ask. They assumed, they plotted. They tried to take that as everything about them, not about you, Michael assured me. As the day progressed, I received texts from both Jason and my father. Jason's was apologetic, explaining that he and Amanda were having serious conversations about expectations and boundaries. My father's was a single line. This discussion isn't over, but for me it was. I had made my position clear, backed by documentation and principle. This house was mine. And for the first time in my life, I had refused to give up something important to me just to keep the peace. That evening, I walked through each room of my villa, reconnecting with the joy and pride I had felt before my family's attempted theft in the kitchen. I ran my hand along the custom island I had designed in the living room. I gazed out the floor-to-ceiling windows at the sunset over the lake in my office. I sat at my drafting table, already planning my next project. This was my house, my creation, my sanctuary, and I had fought for it just as I would fight for myself from now on. The morning of my rescheduled housewarming party dawned clear and bright sunlight streaming through the windows I had specifically designed to capture the eastern light. After the confrontation with my family, I had decided to hold a second smaller gathering for colleagues and neighbors who couldn't attend the first one. It felt important to reclaim my home with positive energy to create new memories to overshadow the painful ones. As I was arranging flowers on the dining table, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, I was surprised to find my father standing there alone, looking uncharacteristically uncertain. "Can we talk?" he asked quietly. "Just the two of us." I hesitated, then stepped aside to let him in. We sat in the living room, the scene of our confrontation just days earlier. "This is a beautiful home, Morgan," he said, looking around with what seemed like genuine appreciation. "You did an incredible job." "Thank you," I replied cautiously, waiting for the other shoe to drop. He sighed heavily. "I owe you an apology, a significant one." He met my eyes directly. "I had no right to promise your house to Amanda, no right to claim it as a family asset, and no right to minimize your achievement in creating it." I was stunned into silence. My father rarely apologized for anything. "The truth is," he continued, "I'm in some financial trouble. Business has been bad for a couple of years now. I've been keeping up appearances, but reality is catching up with me." He looked down at his hands. "When Amanda and Jason got engaged, I promised that might help with the house. It was a promise I couldn't afford to keep. So you decided to give them mine instead." I couldn't keep the hurt from my voice. "It was wrong," he admitted. "Completely wrong." I convinced myself it made sense. "You're single, they're starting a family, you have your career." I told myself you'd understand the practical logic of it. There's nothing logical about taking someone's home dad. "I know that." "I do," he ran a hand through his hair. I think I've always been a bit intimidated by you, Morgan. Your intelligence, your drive, your self-sufficiency. You never seemed to need me, the way Amanda did." "I needed you," I said quietly. "Not financially maybe, but I needed your support, your pride in what I've accomplished. Instead, you've always acted like my career was some kind of phase, or worse, some kind of showing off." He nodded slowly. "I see that now. And I'm truly sorry what you've built here. It's remarkable. Not just the house, but your life, your career. I should have been celebrating that with you, not trying to redirect it for Amanda's benefit." The admission was more meaningful than I had expected for a moment. Neither of us spoke. "Amanda doesn't know I'm here," he finally said. "She's still upset. Your mother is too. Though I think she's beginning to understand my part in creating this mess. But I needed to come and tell you directly I was wrong. Completely wrong." "Thank you," I said. "That means a lot to me. I don't expect everything to be fixed immediately," he added. "But I hope we can work toward rebuilding trust after he left." I sat for a long time, processing our conversation. It wasn't a complete resolution. There were still hurt feelings and damaged trust, but it was a start. A crack in the pattern that had defined our family dynamics for decades. Michael arrived early to help with the party preparations. "Your dad was here." He asked when I told him about the visit, and he actually apologized. "I'm as shocked as you are," I admitted, but it seemed genuine. "He's in financial trouble, which explains some of it, though it doesn't excuse it." "Do you forgive him?" I considered the question carefully. "I'm working on it. It's a process, not an event." But today felt like a step forward. The second housewarming party was smaller, but no less joyful than the first. My colleagues from the architectural firm admired the design features. My neighbors welcomed me officially to the community, and Rachel made sure everyone had plenty to eat and drink throughout the evening. I found myself appreciating my home in a deeper way, knowing I had fought for it and won. A week after the party, I received an email from Amanda. Unlike our father, she didn't apologize directly, but her message suggested a shift in perspective. "I found a wedding venue yesterday, a restored barn overlooking the mountains. It's actually perfect for what Jason and I want, more so than your place would have been. I was wondering if you'd be willing to look at some design ideas for our first home. Not your home, our own place. Jason and I are looking at properties, and I'd value your professional opinion." It was a small olive branch, but significant coming from Amanda. I replied that I'd be happy to offer design advice when they found a property and suggested meeting for coffee the following week. My mother took longer to come around. The family dynamics that had been established over decades couldn't be reset overnight, but gradually over the course of several months we began to establish new, healthier patterns of interaction. Family therapy helped, giving us a neutral space to discuss expectations and boundaries. 6 months after the confrontation, I hosted a small family dinner at my house. It was the first time we had all been together since that day. There were still moments of tension, but also genuine laughter and connection. After dinner, Amanda pulled me aside onto the deck. "Your house really is beautiful," she said, looking out at the lake. "And it's so completely you. I see that now." "Thank you," I replied. "That means a lot." I was jealous, she admitted. "Not just of the house, but of everything. Your confidence, your clarity about what you want, the way you make things happen. You can have those things too, Amanda, but you have to build them yourself. No one can give them to you." She nodded. "I'm learning that slowly." She hesitated, then added, "Jason and I found a property. Nothing as grand as this, but it has potential. If you're still willing to help with design ideas, I'd be honored," I said sincerely. Later that evening, after everyone had gone, Michael and I sat on the deck enjoying the peace of the lake at night. "You know what I've learned from all of this?" I said, gazing at the stars reflected in the water. "What's that? That ownership isn't just about property, it's about your life, your choices, your boundaries. For years, I let my family's expectations own pieces of me. I gave away my power to keep the peace." Michael nodded. "And now I own my life completely, just like I own this house. Not selfishly, but authentically. I'm willing to share, but not to surrender." He raised his glass to mine. "To ownership." "To ownership," I echoed. "And to building not just houses, but relationships that respect boundaries and celebrate achievements." In the years since I had completed my villa, I had faced challenges I never anticipated. But through them, I had gained something beyond the physical structure of my dream home. I had found my voice, established my boundaries, and begun the process of rebuilding family relationships on healthier foundations. My house stood as a testament not just to my architectural vision, but to my willingness to fight for what mattered to me. Each room held memories, now both painful and joyful. But they were all part of my story, my journey. And as I looked out over the peaceful lake, I felt a profound sense of belonging, not just to this place, but to myself. The villa I had built was more than a luxury home. It was a symbol of self-worth, of boundaries, respected, of dreams defended, and that made it more valuable than any material possession could ever be. What about you? Have you ever had to stand up to family members to protect something important to you? How did you handle it? Drop a comment below. Like this video if it resonated with you. And don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories about family dynamics, personal boundaries, and the courage to stand up for yourself. Thanks for watching. And remember, sometimes the most important foundations we build aren't made of concrete, but of self-respect and healthy boundaries.